In another world, you might be training at the moment for the Paris Olympics, or at least trying to get into one of the squads. Is that something you ever think about?
Occasionally, but it's a completely different world now. It's not really something that I allow myself to think about too much, just because that kind of part of my life is gone now. I just it's not something that I really want to do anymore. But obviously it's not possible either.
So elite sport is over for you now?
I don't really have a choice. If we were allowed to compete, if I was allowed to compete, it would be a different conversation. I would be having to weigh up if it was safe for me to compete, if it was the right thing for me to do at this part of my life. But I can't compete, so elite sport is over for me, because I can't do what at least I used to love.
But you can compete in an open category.
Can I? Would it be safe for me to compete in an open category? For me, obviously, I have a past in cycling, so I have previous results. People know me. But for another trans woman who hasn't competed in the past, lives completely through, she lives her life as a cis woman effectively. She's trans, but she is seen by the world as a cis woman. How is it fair to ask her to out herself and compete in the open category? That's not fair, and it's it's not safe either.
The fact that trans women aren't allowed to compete now in a women's category is about fairness, and the only way you can maintain that fairness is at the exception of inclusion. In other words, it cannot be fair for a trans woman to compete in a women's category.
But is it about fairness? Have the bans been as a result of fairness? I think that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Obviously, they've been under the guise of fairness, and that has kind of been the vehicle to promote this exclusion of trans women from female sports. There need to be nuanced adult conversations about regulations and using all of the available data, and that's all of the available data, not just the data that supports a certain view.
There are many peer-reviewed papers that show why a trans woman has an inbuilt advantage. You don't accept those, do you?
How many of those studies are done on athletes? None of them. And I've been part of a study, and there's very clear data, and the data will be coming out soon. And opponents to my inclusion, they've been trying to discredit all of the data that I've collected. The moment they realised I was going to be doing this study, they're just like, no, you can't do that. It's obviously not going to be properly recorded. It's just, and they've tried to discredit it, but the data is going to be coming out, and hopefully that'll be useful to making a more informed decision.
The decisions that have been taken, it is said, are taken with fairness in mind. In elite sport, isn't fairness a non-negotiable?
Yeah, fairness is important, and I understand how important it is to have the conversations around eligibility guidelines and certain medical requirements. But I think having a blanket ban on a group of people where there is so much diversity in our biology and our sporting abilities and our physical selves, I don't see how you can blanketly ban a group of people.
What would you say to those people, and there are many of them, who say that you or another trans woman competing in an elite squad is stealing a place from a biological woman?
So, for a trans woman who goes through her life exactly the same as a cis woman, so she trains all of the time with her fellow cis women, and like do everything together, do the races together, surely it's and undergo all of the misogyny that is involved with being a woman in sport. Surely the same opportunity should be available for her than her fellow women.
And do you see that anti-trans sentiment bleeding into all areas of sport, from elite to grassroots?
Yeah, I mean, like it was like British cycling. It was first like ban at the elite level, ban at the like competitive level, and then everyone's like that they're also trying to get grassroots banned as well. And it's the same across other sports. Like I know that in athletics, obviously that they've done a ban, and even kind of the orchestrator of that ban, Seb Coe, has said that it needs to be inclusive at a lower level.
Do you think sport in general and the decisions it's made over the past 18 months has enabled anti-trans feeling?
Yeah, yes, I do. But it's also come from a place, and there's been a lot of political pressure from anti-trans activists to ban us from sport. And yeah, like it's kind of cyclical. Like it reinforces the belief that trans women aren't women, and that they're a threat, and it reinforces all of that. And it's the pressure is coming from the groups that wish to see us not exist anymore.
Last time we spoke, Boris Johnson made the comment he made. Not that long ago, Rishi Sunak made a trans jibe in Prime Minister's questions. What impact does that sort of language have?
It's not surprising. It is not surprising at all that he did that. He's done it multiple times before. I think there's only been so much made of it because, obviously Brianna Jai's mum was in the Commons that day. I don't know if she wasn't there. I don't know if he would have been pulled up on it, because it's happened so many occasions before, and nothing's been said of it. It's just but even then, even with all of the backlash he got, there were still members of the government defending him and saying that this is a valid statement. It's just like, how can it ever be a valid statement to question someone's humanity like that?
When the Prime Minister does say things like that, what is the impact on you and your community?
I mean, it normalises violence against trans people. That at the end of the day, that is the impact. Like, in court, the judge presiding over the trial of Brianna Jai's murderers said that transphobia was a factor. That transphobia is directly linked to the normalisation of these comments.
What does the future hold for you?
So I want to get on with my life. I've got some goals that I want to do. I've got I want to be happy in the future, and I've got things that I'm going to do. I know that a lot of trans people still want to compete in sport, so I'm going to continue to do my part and fight for inclusion when I can, when I have the capacity for it. And yeah, we're challenging British cycling, and if they don't pull their policy, we intend to challenge it legally. And I don't care if I never compete again. It's for other people who want to compete, and it's just about what's right. And the way things are at the moment with blanket ban, no nuance. It's just like, no, you can't do this. It's just, that's not right.
Obviously, you hope any court case will be successful and you will get a decision overturned. But even if you don't, do you believe there is any chance of you changing the narrative?
I mean, I hope so, because the narrative is not sustainable at the moment because people are getting killed. So there needs to be a change in narrative because it's dangerous. And yeah, I have hope, because you have to have hope. If you don't have hope, you won't survive. And that, at the end of the day, is my desire and desire of my community to keep on living, to survive.